There is a moment every single day when the world is still quiet, when your mind is untouched by noise, when your future is waiting for you to claim it. That moment is the morning, and in that moment lies a ritual, simple, powerful, transformative, that can shift the direction of your life and change the luck you believe you have been given. Every day people speak of luck as if it is something random, something you must wait for, something gifted to the fortunate and denied to the rest. But luck is not an accident. Luck is the result of energy, of intention, of presence. And when your first action of the morning is conscious, deliberate, and rooted in discipline, you begin to create the conditions where luck appears again and again. This ritual is not complicated. It is not mystical. It is the act of returning to yourself before the world demands something from you. When you rise, sit in stillness just for a moment. Feel your breath. Feel the weight of your body. Feel the truth that you are alive and capable. Do not rush. Do not grab your phone. Do not let the world's chaos enter before your inner world is prepared. In this quiet space, ask yourself 3 simple questions. What am I grateful for? This shifts your mind from scarcity to abundance. What is my intention for today? Not 10 intentions, just one. A single direction is stronger than 1,000 scattered movements. What action will bring me closer to who I want to become? This turns your energy outward into motion, into courage, into growth. This is not merely a morning habit. It is a declaration. I choose my path. I choose my state. I choose my luck. And as you repeat this ritual day after day, something subtle begins to change. You notice opportunities you once ignored. You feel calmer in moments where you once reacted. You begin to move with purpose, and the world, sensing your clarity, begins to open. People will say you have become lucky. This turns your energy outward into motion, into courage, into growth. This is not merely a morning habit. It is a declaration. I choose my path. I choose my state. I choose my luck. And as you repeat this ritual day after day, something subtle begins to change. You notice opportunities you once ignored. You feel calmer in moments where you once reacted. You begin to move with purpose, and the world, sensing your clarity, begins to open. People will say you have become lucky. The first question, what am I grateful for, is far more powerful than most people realize. Gratitude is not a polite gesture, and it is not a mere emotional nicety. It is a deliberate shift in consciousness, a recalibration of your inner world that directly affects how you perceive everything that follows in your day. When you wake up and allow your mind to drift without direction, it naturally gravitates toward problems, tensions, and unfinished tasks. This is the default setting of the human mind. It seeks threats, flaws, and risks. But when you begin your morning by intentionally naming what you are grateful for, you break that automatic pattern. You guide the mind toward possibility rather than worry, toward abundance rather than lack. To practice this effectively, it must be genuine. Do not look for grand achievements or extraordinary blessings. Look for the simple, undeniable truths that are often overlooked. The warmth of your bed, the breath entering your lungs, the ability to rise and move, the presence of people who care about you, the lessons you have learned both from joy and from pain. Gratitude is not about pretending everything is perfect. It is about recognizing that even within imperfection, there is value, support, and potential. When you acknowledge these truths, you anchor your morning in a state of internal stability. This shift does something very subtle but very real. When your mind starts from gratitude, it is more open, more patient, and more willing to act calmly under pressure. You become less reactive and more receptive. Challenges feel less like personal attacks and more like natural parts of the journey. Obstacles still exist, but they lose the power to define your emotional state. You begin to see solutions where you once saw only problems, and there is something else. Gratitude creates confidence. Most people think confidence comes from achievement, but genuine confidence actually comes from recognizing how much you already have. When you can see and feel your existing strength, connections, and resources, you move through the world with a sense of inner wealth. This is the foundation upon which courage is built. A grateful mind is not easily discouraged because it is grounded. It is not easily shaken because it is aware of its own blessings, and it is not easily manipulated by negativity because it is trained to notice what is already working. By practicing gratitude each morning, you also train your attention. You sharpen your ability to focus on what is meaningful. Throughout the day, your mind becomes more alert to moments of goodness, progress, and opportunity. This is where people begin to say you are lucky. But what they are witnessing is not luck, it is awareness. You notice openings others walk past. You recognize value others dismiss. You act on chances others overlook. Gratitude opens your eyes to the present, and what you see shapes the quality of your decisions. This simple morning practice becomes a stabilizing force. It aligns your emotions with truth, your thoughts with clarity, and your actions with purpose. And when practiced consistently, gratitude becomes not just a morning ritual, but a state of living that transforms how you interpret every moment that follows. The second question, what is my intention for today, is the anchor that brings direction, clarity, and purpose into your morning ritual. Most people begin their day already pulled in multiple directions before they even stand up. Their minds rush toward obligations, deadlines, and expectations. They carry the weight of yesterday and the anxiety of tomorrow. Without realizing it, they step into the day as if they are being pushed rather than choosing to move. But when you decide on a clear intention first thing in the morning, you reclaim ownership of your energy. You tell your mind, this is where we are going today, and everything else begins to align around that simple declaration. Intentionality is not about creating a long list of tasks. It is not about overwhelming yourself with ambitions. It is about choosing one guiding focus, one principle, one behavior, one quality you want to embody throughout the day. When you simplify your aim, your mind becomes sharper and your actions become more consistent. For example, your intention could be to stay calm in challenging situations, to speak with kindness, to move your body with discipline, or to dedicate time to a single meaningful project. By choosing one intention, you give yourself the gift of clarity and remove the mental chaos that often drains your energy before the day even begins. This single intention acts like a compass. Throughout the day, when distractions arise, when stress appears, when unexpected events pull at your attention, you can return to the intention you set in the morning. It becomes a stabilizing reminder of how you want to show up in the world. Instead of reacted, automatically you begin responding with purpose. You make decisions not from impulse, but from alignment. This shift alone can dramatically elevate the quality of your day, because you are no longer operating from habit, you are operating from choice. Setting an intention also strengthens your relationship with yourself. It creates an inner contract, a promise that you make and keep, and every time you honor that intention, even in small ways, you build self-trust. You prove to yourself that your words have weight. This is how discipline is developed, not by force but by integrity. When your intention guides your actions reshape your identity. Over time, you begin to see yourself as someone who lives with purpose, someone who does not drift aimlessly through life but walks with direction. There is also a profound psychological effect that comes from having a single intention. The mind naturally filters information based on what it believes is important. When you set an intention, you program your focus. Your awareness becomes attuned to opportunities that support your goal. You begin noticing moments where your intention can be applied. If your intention is patience, you will see opportunities to practice patience. If your intention is courage, situations that require courage will stand out. This is not coincidence, it is the mind organizing your reality around the direction you choose. The beauty of this practice is that it does not require dramatic effort or large amounts of time. It is a quiet internal commitment that takes only a few seconds. Yet those few seconds can influence every hour that follows. Intention is subtle but powerful. It shapes your emotional state, your mental clarity, your behavior, and ultimately the results you create. The third question, what action will bring me closer to who I want to become, transforms your morning ritual from reflection into movement. It takes the awareness from gratitude and the often come from consistent small steps repeated day after day. When you ask yourself this question each morning, you are not searching direction from intention and turns them into something tangible. Without action, even the most meaningful insights remain trapped in the mind, never given the chance to shape your reality. This question forces you to bridge the gap between who you are today and who you are becoming. It invites you to take responsibility for your growth in a practical, grounded way. This action does not need to be dramatic or life-changing on the surface. In fact, the most powerful changes often come from consistent small steps repeated day after day. When you ask yourself this question each morning, you are not searching for an extraordinary breakthrough. You are looking for one deliberate step forward. It could be something as simple as sending a message you've been avoiding, dedicating 10 minutes to learning a new skill, practicing discipline in a moment of temptation, or choosing a healthier behavior when your old patterns try to pull you back. What matters is that the action contributes to your future identity, your ideal self. This daily question invites honesty. It requires you to acknowledge the areas of your life where you feel stuck or disconnected. It makes you confront the habits that no longer serve you, and in doing so, it gives you an opportunity to reclaim control. Many people underestimate how quickly life can change once they begin
taking small, intentional actions. Momentum builds quietly. Confidence grows gradually. The distance between your current self and your desired self begins to shrink with every step, even when the steps feel small. As you engage with this question every morning, something subtle begins to shift in your mindset. You stop waiting for motivation to appear before acting. Instead, you act first, and motivation follows. This reversal is powerful because action generates clarity. When you take steps
toward your goals, you begin to understand more about what you want, what you need, and what you are capable of. Opportunities become more visible. Progress becomes measurable. You create evidence, clear proof that you are capable of change. There is also a deeper psychological transformation that occurs when you choose one meaningful action daily. You strengthen your self-identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who does not remain passive in life. You become someone who moves, someone who grows, someone who takes responsibility. This identity shift is crucial because your behavior always aligns with who you believe yourself to be. If you believe you are undisciplined, your actions will reflect that. If you believe you are capable, consistent, and committed, your actions will match that identity as well. This question helps redirect that identity in a powerful way. Another important aspect of this daily action is that it interrupts the tendency to pursue perfection. You are not asked to transform everything in one day. You are not asked to solve every problem instantly. You are asked to take one step, just one. This removes pressure and replaces it with possibility. It keeps you focused, grounded, and empowered. The question becomes a reminder that progress is within reach every single day. Over time, these daily actions compound. What at first feels small eventually becomes significant. Skills improve, habits form, confidence expands, and your life begins. The fourth element, the practice of returning to your center throughout the day, is the quiet force that holds your entire morning ritual together. It is one thing to begin the day with clarity, gratitude, and intention, but the true test arises when the world begins to tug at your focus. Life is unpredictable. People interrupt you, responsibilities demand attention, emotions fluctuate, and unforeseen obstacles appear without warning. This is why the ability to return to your internal center becomes essential. It ensures that the strength you cultivate in the morning is not lost the moment external pressure arrives. Returning to your center is the art of pausing. It is the decision to create space between stimulus and response. When you feel overwhelmed, frustrated, distracted, or disconnected, you learn to take a single breath, a conscious breath that brings you back into the present moment. This simple act gives you control over internal state before it spirals. You do not need to meditate for long periods, retreat to a quiet room, or remove yourself from your responsibilities. You only need awareness, a slow inhale, a grounded exhale, and a brief acknowledgement of what you are feeling allows you to reset your energy. This practice teaches you to recognize the difference between reaction and response. Reaction is automatic. It is driven by old patterns, emotional triggers, and unconscious habits. Response is deliberate. It comes from a place of composure, clarity, and alignment with your intention. When you return to your center, you give yourself the chance to choose wisely rather than fall into behaviors that you later regret. This is where real mastery develops, within the small moments of choice that shape the trajectory of your day. As you cultivate this skill, you also strengthen your emotional resilience. Instead of being thrown off balance by every inconvenience or unexpected event, you develop a calm steadiness. Stress no longer dictates your behavior. Negative emotions no longer dominate your decisions. You begin to move through challenges with a sense of grounded presence. People notice this calmness, they sense your stability, and in many ways, this quiet, steady energy becomes your greatest strength. Returning to your center also helps you realign with the intention you set in the morning. Throughout the day, distractions and demands can slowly pull you away from your chosen direction. Without realizing it, you might unconsciously slip back into old patterns, but when you pause deliberately, you reconnect with your purpose, you remind yourself of how you wanted to show up, you recalibrate your mind and body to the standard you chose for the day. This keeps your energy focused, consistent, and purposeful, even in chaotic environments. Another powerful aspect of this practice is how it helps you stay connected to your long-term vision. Moments of stress often shrink your awareness, causing you to focus only on immediate problems. But when you return to your center, your perspective widens. You remember what truly matters. You reconnect with the person you are becoming and the life you are building. This creates a deeper sense of meaning, which fuels your motivation and strengthens your discipline. Over time, the ability to return to your center becomes second nature. It becomes the invisible thread that keeps your thoughts clear, your emotions stable, and your actions aligned. It allows you to carry the strength of your morning ritual throughout the entire day, transforming not only how you begin your mornings but how you live every moment that follows. The fifth element, the consistent repetition of the morning ritual until it becomes a natural part of your identity, is what ultimately transforms temporary motivation into lasting change. Anyone can practice a ritual once, many can follow it for a week, but the true power of this process emerges only when it is repeated so consistently that it becomes woven into the fabric of who you are. Repetition is what turns a conscious choice into an unconscious habit, and a habit into a defining trait. It is the steady rhythm that reinforces your growth day after day, until the ritual no longer feels like something you do but something you are. Consistency is often misunderstood. People believe it requires perfect execution or flawless discipline, but real consistency is about returning again and again, regardless of how imperfectly you might practice on any given day. Some mornings, you will sit in clarity and feel deeply connected to your gratitude, intention, and purpose. Other mornings, your mind may be restless, your emotions heavy, or your motivation low. Yet it is on those difficult days that your ritual matters most. When you show up despite resistance, you strengthen your character, you prove to yourself that you are not controlled by mood or circumstance, you reinforce the truth that you can rely on your own commitment. Repeating the ritual each morning also shapes the way your brain operates. The human mind thrives on patterns. When you introduce a new habit, your brain initially resists because it disrupts old pathways, but with repetition, the new pattern becomes familiar. The neural connections grow stronger, the behavior becomes easier, and the internal resistance begins to fade. Eventually, your morning ritual becomes the default setting of your day. I'll begin to crave the clarity it provides, the peace it cultivates, and the focus it reinforces. What once felt like effort transforms into a source of stability. As this ritual becomes consistent, it also impacts the choices you make outside of the morning hours. You start making decisions that align with your intentional beginning. You carry the memory of your morning questions throughout the day, almost like an internal guiding voice that whispers before each choice, reminding you of who you are and who you are striving to become. This creates coherence, a powerful harmony between your inner state and your outward actions. Coherence is what gives your life direction. It is what prevents you from drifting aimlessly or falling back into unproductive cycles. Another profound effect of consistency is the long-term momentum it creates. At first, the effects of your ritual may feel subtle, almost invisible, but as days turn into weeks and weeks into months, the transformation becomes undeniable. You notice changes in your mindset, in your behavior, in your emotional stability. You realize that your reactions have softened, your awareness has sharpened, and your sense of purpose has deepened. Others may not see the early shifts, but eventually they begin to notice something different about you. Your composure, your clarity, your discipline. These traits are not accidents, they are the result of persistent daily alignment. Consistency also builds trust, not only with yourself but with your vision. You begin to trust that your small, steady actions are leading somewhere meaningful. Instead of doubting your ability to change, you start to feel proof within yourself. This internal trust is a powerful catalyst for growth because it eliminates the need for external validation. You no longer wait for signs or encouragement from others. Your own actions become your evidence. Each morning reinforces that commitment, strengthening a cycle of self-respect and self-belief, and as the ritual becomes part of you, it becomes a foundation, a quiet anchor that steadies you through uncertainty, challenges, and change. It reminds you every day that progress is a choice, identity is crafted through repetition, and transformation begins in the smallest moments of deliberate intention, culmination of the entire morning practice. This is where you begin to understand that luck is not something that randomly appears in the lives of the fortunate, but something that randomly appears in the lives of the fortunate, but something that grows naturally within those who cultivate clarity, presence, and intention. Most people think of luck as an external force, a mysterious blessing granted by chance, but when you repeatedly shape your inner world each morning, you begin to see that what you once called luck is actually the outcome of alignment. It is your thoughts, your energy, and your actions coming together in a way that invites opportunities instead of pushing them away. When your inner state is calm and focused, you perceive the world differently. You notice details that others overlook, you hear possibilities in conversations that others dismiss, you recognize openings that blend into the background for those who live in a constant state of distraction. This heightened awareness is not accidental, it is trained. Every time you begin your day with gratitude, intention, and purposeful action, you sharpen your perception. Filter the world through a mindset that is ready to receive and ready to act. This shift alone can make you appear luckier because you are no longer blind to the chances life presents. As your inner state becomes more grounded, people respond to you differently as well. They see your composure, your confidence, your clarity. They naturally trust you more. They gravitate toward your energy. They offer help, ideas, connections, and opportunities simply because your presence feels steady and reliable. Many individuals attribute these moments to luck, but they are actually the results of the energy you cultivate. Stability attracts cooperation. Confidence attracts respect. Presence attracts possibility. These are not coincidences. They are reflections of who you are becoming. Another aspect of this shift involves your emotional resilience. When your morning ritual strengthens your inner world, setbacks no longer derail you. Instead of giving up when something goes wrong, you adapt and continue. You see challenges as stepping stones instead of barriers. This resilience makes you appear lucky because you keep moving long after others have stopped. What they perceive as fortune is actually persistence. What they call luck is really your willingness to stay aligned with your intentions despite temporary obstacles. This internal transformation also changes your relationship with fear. When you start your day with the clarity of who you wish to become, fear loses some of its grip on you. You become more willing to take risks, to speak up, to try something new, to step into situations where growth is possible. Many people avoid opportunities because fear whispers too loudly. But when your morning ritual strengthens your mind and centers your emotions, fear becomes quieter, more manageable. You begin acting in ways that your previous self might have pulled away from. And what happens when you take more aligned risks? You create more opportunities for success. From the outside it looks like luck. From the inside it is simply courage fueled by clarity. This shift also affects how you interpret the events of your life. Instead of seeing small difficulties as signs that you are unlucky or things are working against you, you begin to interpret them as part of a larger process. This mindset keeps you emotionally balanced and open to learning. You don't collapse under pressure, you adapt. You don't resent challenges, you grow from them. When you carry this attitude, life feels more cooperative. You feel guided instead of burdened. Opportunities seem to emerge with greater frequency, not because they suddenly appeared, but because your perception has evolved enough to recognize them. Over time, this internal evolution reshapes your entire understanding of luck. It becomes clear that luck is not something you wait for. It is a state you cultivate. It is a pattern you reinforce with your daily choices. It is a reflection of your inner world projected outward. Through your morning ritual, you build the habits, emotions, and awareness that allow luck to flow toward you instead of past you. The more you align your inner state, the more the external world seems to align with you.